Hey guys, welcome back to part number 7 and the final part of my Heinkel 111 build. As you can see over my right shoulder, it is finished. So today we're literally going to do a few last finishing touches and then I'll do the final reveal. Hey, welcome back to the final part of this Heinkel 111 build. So, been quite a journey. Can't say it's been the most enjoyable kit I've ever worked on. It's been a challenge for sure, and we're seeing like the end of the tunnel. So, here's where we left it before. Just weathered it up, and we're going to do a final few touches and get this thing wrapped up and do a final reveal. So it should be pretty short and sweet. So, what have I been up to off camera? Well, I built the main gear. Didn't really need to show you those guys. They were just built per the instructions and painted. Same color callouts and stuff. So one thing with this, I built the main frame here, and then because this plastic is very kind of rubbery and has a lot of play, I then had enough room to kind of bend it back and then put the wheel in at the end once it's all painted and then glue it on. So built the frame as one piece, painted it all together, made it a lot easier, then added the wheel and added a little bit of a wash around the side here to pick out all that tread in the tires. So they need a clear coat for sure. I just definitely like to clear coat my tires because they're in contact with the table or the desk or the shelf, wherever it is, and they can wear the paint off. So definitely want to protect these and get these clear coated, and then we can get them put onto the aircraft. Finally, because finally, it's been a challenge because obviously we've got all these guns on the bottom. I'm trying to turn this around. Which is bent and stuff. So once you've got the wheels on, we can actually stand it up and on its proper stance. So I've got that to do. What else? So I painted, also need to clear coat these guys. So I painted and built the propellers. Super easy, they're all same color. That dark iron color, which I actually really like. Is it XF84, I think it is. So I painted it all up, added the decals, and just chipped the edges a little bit. And then these are ready to go on. Again, just need to clear coat those. That's done. The exhausts, painted up, ready to glue on too. I ended up using, I wanted a dark color. It says rust in the instructions, but I went with a, to pull this out, which is gunmetal, model metallizer from Model Master. Just wants to be dark and kind of like the tone of that. So painted those 4 guys up, they're ready to go on as well. And finally, I painted up the gear doors and the bomb bay doors already. And as always, I like to paint these on the sprue. Just because you can kind of keep your, you know which piece is which. I mean, it has a number on there, so when it comes to lefts and rights and stuff, we know exactly, we chop it off which one, where it goes. So wear it up as well with a bit of a wash, same wash they use on the aircraft, made it a little bit dirty, and obviously painted the inside too, the same color as the, is it XF22, the interior color. So again, just like doing it on sprue, because again, we know exactly what side they are, where they go, that kind of stuff, makes things a little bit easier. So that's ready to be snipped off and applied to the aircraft as well. So we're really there, to be honest with you. It's just really just assembly, putting the last few pieces on. Also, we can take those masks off too, carefully with a pair of tweezers. So for example, let's just pick one at random. So like this guy right here. Just get the edge, get the corner. And this actually turns out to be a little tricky, this guy, come on. There we go. And this aircraft's going to take a big change in look once you see all that glass work. Because right now it looks very dark, but once you got, there you go. But once you got all these clear parts visible, it's going to look a lot different. So I'm going to work our way around, peel out all the masks and stuff too, because obviously we put the final clear coat on, so we're good to go now. So that's kind of an update where I'm at. So a lot going on. I'll start putting all this stuff together, and we're also ready for a final reveal. Okay, making a lot of progress. I'm almost finished. So I got all the gear on, the gear doors, no problem at all. Well, it's a little fiddly, so let me kind of, let me put it on its feet for the first time, because you can see it, and we'll kind of talk through a couple of things here. So, gear. So, build the gear up, and you notice on one side of each gear, it has like a larger part, which on the right and the left of that side. That gear's got on the outside, so that's not how you know which way, which gear goes on left and right. So going here, see that larger part, it goes on the outside of each. That's how you know. And then we put this on already, which is no problem at all. Like I said, I built this, and when I built the frame, I glued this in. And you can do that right away immediately. You don't need to add it on afterwards. I actually encourage you to do it earlier on too, because not only can you paint it as one, but it's going to be very fiddly trying to get it afterwards. So did that, and then here where the problems came, going along instructions. These little guys, to get in there was really hard. In the end, I think I was doing it wrong. I was kind of put it underneath. These little kind of bar I rested on top of the bracket and just kind of super glued it in. So I got there in the end, no problem at all. Now, what I did is I super glued as always my gear, but just when I put one of those struts in, one gear just kind of sheared off. So I glued it back in, and that's a problem you have with super glue. They can just snap off real easily. So I did bring in this guy, which is my Gorilla Clear Glue. Now this takes a while to dry, but it's super strong, and it's more of a, I'm not sure what kind of glue it is really. It's not a super glue, it's very kind of jelly and gloopy. So what I cut with a toothpick, I dab a little bit in and ran it around all joints of the gear. So it's going to dry clear, and it's going to create some extra strength back, hopefully down there too. Because I don't think I'm going to keep this one, to be honest with you. I think this will probably get sold, so I'm going to ship it. So I'll make sure it's nice and strong, so when I package it, it will get shipped to its new owner. So I did that, and then what else? So that's pretty much it. I had a right nightmare putting the exhaust on. I don't know why, it just wouldn't stick. In the end, tons of super glue I got them to stay. And, oh, forgot to mention the main thing. Since I came, I took all the mask off, and that was quite an experience getting all the masking off. But it just showed me, reinforced the point that to build this, you need the mask set, because to hand mask that stuff would be a nightmare. And you can see now it's looking a lot different with all the glass, looking really good. You can see inside the cockpit and stuff, and really happy how that's turning out. So we're getting there. So what I'm going to do is I've got a couple more things to glue on. Most importantly, this guy, which is going to go here, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I run an aerial in World War II. Some elastic. So let me kind of finish up a few things here, and I'll be right back. Okay, final stretch. So put the little gun in there, and we're going to do the aerial back. So what I use is knitting in elastic. So this is Prym, P-R-Y-M, elastic knitting in elastic, and it's 200 meters long. I don't know what size it is, but that's what I'm using, and this stuff will last a lifetime. So basically it's obviously elastic. So touch of super glue and stuck that side on. And you want to let it dry for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes just to stick. Then just seeing where it goes on this side. Again, just a little super glue. Okay, it's a super glue, and then you can take elastic and stretch it, place it on the glue, and hold it for about 20 seconds or so, depending how old your glue is and how fresh it is and stuff. And that's it, done. So I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit longer, 5-10 minutes. I'm gonna cut off with a pair of scissors the excess, and then just with a paintbrush carefully, with some thin black paint, just paint that in. Now, don't want to go, be careful, you don't want to get splatter marks all over the fuselage, maybe put a paper towel underneath, but again, just very lightly, just run a brush around each side. And excuse the noise, sounds like a trash truck's going by right now, but there we go. Alright, so that's on, and we're finished. So I broke a couple of the guns off, as you know. I've gone ahead and just, I'm lucky I've got replacements, I've got extras in the box, so I cut those off and glued them on, painted them, glued them on, to replace where I broke them off, and we're pretty much finished and ready for a final reveal. So let me get this painted up, clear my desk, get it nice and clean, and then we'll come back and we'll see how it turned out. Done. There she is. Yeah, what a beast. What I'll do is I'll do a little video actually and do a walk around, and you'll be able to see closer up, and also at the very end, as always, I'll put some still photographs up. So when I shut this video out, stay tuned, and you'll see the photos outside the sunlight. You'll see it better, but it turned out pretty cool. So yeah, it's so what I do, so I build out the box just with the Edouard mask set, and you need the Edouard mask set. This thing is covered in windows, and it's just impossible to mask by hand. It'll be a nightmare. I did one engine exposed, like open, because you got fully detailed engines, and one engine is closed up. And yeah, so I use Tamiya paints, use whatever they use in instructions, I use those colors. Now, typical colors of dark green and black green were very similar. Now, to me, unless you look close, you can't see the differential colors between this camo. It looks all the same kind of color. It's very, very subtle change. So if I was to do this again, I'll definitely add a drop or two of black to that black green to make it more darker, so it really stands out on the camo. Because right now, it doesn't really, you can't really see the camo very well. it's too subtle. Although maybe it ties into my weathering, where I weathered it, where it kind of looks like worn down and stuff. But yeah, that black green was a little bit too close to dark green for my liking. But yeah, here she is. We'll attempt to kind of show you around. It looks really cool in the front end with the glass work. You'll see better in the photographs, better lighting and stuff. But that's the front end, and walking around, that's how she's looking. As the motorcycles go flying past, and we can hear that in the background. There she is. So yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. Now I'm not a big World War II genre kind of guy, but I thought I'd give a stab at this. I got it in my stash for a few years. When it first came out about 4 or 5 years ago, I probably paid about $45 for it. Now I think at like 60, 70. It's just the way the world is with supply chain and stuff. It's just, everything's just doubled in price. It's not just model kits, but all kinds of stuff. So I think for the money, it's actually really well priced. It's a good kit. Like I say, you got fully used engines. It went together reasonably well, but my God, that was so complex the way that fuselage goes together. There's so many different parts. There's all different glass works, like 4 parts of glass alone on the front to glue together. Now, gluing the glass at the front, I used the old Tamiya white top cement because that doesn't frost the glass, and that worked really well. So that was a good call for me to do that. Yeah, it's a lot of work went into it, mainly the construction side of things, and it's just really hard to handle because the nature of the beast, you got full interior, not that you see any right now, and well, especially down the back side. The front you can see the cockpit where the pilot sits, but back here you don't see any of it. Full interior, and all these little guns that stick out from the inside, and the windows going from the inside too. So the way it's designed, you've got to put those guns in early on. I mean, it just makes a nightmare to handle. So you're working with intricate parts trying to put it together, and you've got all these little, like, tiny little guns sticking out and different air parts and stuff. And it was really hard to handle. It's frustrating, tricky. Once those wings went on at the end, it actually made it a lot easier to kind of move around and maneuver. But still, the shape, you know, it's quite a big kind of footprint, and it's really hard to put under the camera to film and stuff. And I had quite a challenge with working with this one. But nevertheless, we got it done, and it turned out reasonably well. I'm pretty happy with it. Would I build another one? No. I'm just not a big fan of World War II German stuff anyway, and it was just, I like my modern things, and just it was just too, it was a challenge, and it's definitely pushed my skills to the limit, but it was just too hard to handle and stuff, and I don't know, I'm on two minds about it. Did I enjoy it? I don't know. I guess I kind of enjoyed it, but I didn't love the build. You know, it's definitely will go up there. I don't think it's going to be my personal collection. It just doesn't really fit because I'm a more modern kind of guy. This is very Aussie World War II German, so this will probably go on eBay and get sold. Although it is very fragile, like I mentioned, and trying to ship this thing, I don't know, it's probably going to end up with like 1,000 pieces. So it's probably going to be like a local pickup because, yeah, I can just imagine this thing is not good. No matter how well I package it, it's just not going to withstand being thrown around the mail system. But yeah, there you go. So I painted, weathered it. Usually my clay washes use grey on the upper side. I'm glad I did because grey you can actually see it, whereas the dark dirt and like those kind of colours and grime, just the same colour, you're not going to see it. So that worked out pretty good. What else? Worn it down with the sponges again, sanding it down as always. I do when I weather, like sand it down and get rid of the paint. And not only create a smooth finish, but it really kind of shows through the colours underneath. Now, the only thing with this one is I used my usual shadow coat. So I primed in black, and then I shadow coated in white, and then I sprayed the green on top. What I should have done is done more like the primer colour. So I'm not sure what World War II German bomber primer is, if it's that red or not, like the armour, but red oxide. But I would have probably done that instead of the white, and then sprayed this on, and then when you rub it off, you'd see the primer come through, rather than the odd like little dash of white and stuff, which maybe doesn't quite work out. So if I was to do it again, I probably wouldn't weather it that way at all. But other than that, yeah, it's went together and it's done, and I'm kind of glad it is finished. So yeah, it's something different for me, completely left field for me, not the subject I normally do, and definitely not something I'll probably do again in the future. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Some new skills, some new stuff we did there, some, you know, and learned along with me through those videos, and yeah, hopefully see you on the next one. So thank you as always for watching. Have a great week. Bye.